Howdy folks, Saint Chad here, and we're back with another episode of Monster Loves You. So, in our last playthrough, all of last week, we played through one generation of a monster's life. And so we're gonna jump into another one. Okay, so, beginning the story. It's a right long time ago. Nestled in the heart of the forest was the monster village of Omen. You were born from slime that holds the memory of monsters known for... Last time we went with action, so let's go with words and thought. You're not awake yet, but soon your first eye will open. Your simple dreams will give way to life itself. You dream of speaking true when others lie. Your body is turning and twisting, growing salad in the middle of a great vat of green slime. It's time to be born. Oh, let's be born. You awaken in the thawing season when the ground is soft and wet. Your eye is open. You're a morsel, just barely born. You float in the spawning vat. Dozens of other morsels are exploring, flailing, and stealing food from each other. Let's try to swim. Another morsel swims toward you. It opens its mouth to show a set of small, sharp teeth. It bites you. What? You pause, unable to believe that another morsel is trying to eat you. After a moment, you snap out of it and start to move again. You speak. Your words are simple, but some of the morsels understand you. They converge on the biter. Your tiny, slimy flotilla frightens the bad morsel away. It retreats to the far end of the spawning vat. Splash, flutter, splish, squeak. Another morsel is too weak to swim properly. It's sinking toward the bottom of the spawning vat. You watch the half-formed baby monster slip beneath the surface. It begins to break apart. You gaze, unblinking, as the little morsel dies. The weakling's limbs stick to slimy clumps on the bottom, then tear away from its body. The little morsel's mouth forms a terrified, toothless O, and then splits in 3 directions, forming the center of the fault lines that destroy its torso and head. The last you see of the morsel is its eye, which, now without a lid, floats there, seeming to stare right back at you. Then it dissolves into sludge, and the sludge dissolves into nothing. You have grown too big for the spawning vat. You must move on to the next stage of life and become a monsterling. You're going to get into some trouble, which is great. Exercise your bravery, cleverness, ferocity, kindness, and honesty. What kind of monster will you be? Adventure. You're at the entrance of the Brood Cave. Monsterlings aren't supposed to leave, you know. Monsterlings, though sometimes swift and often tough, aren't as swift or tough as full-grown monsters. It can be dangerous. On the other paw, nobody is looking. We'll go ask that. The streets of Omen are mostly empty, but you hear some larger, older monsters coming this way. The tall, icy elder looks down at you with a grave expression. Did someone put you up to this, youngster? The elder scowls. Well, alright. Go back to the cave and I won't hurt you. You, Nash, and Blistery are wrestling near a big clay jar. You knock the jar off its ledge and it breaks into 100 pieces. You catch Elder Marinus out of the corner of your eye. You gather all the shards of clay and start stacking them together with slime, or sticking them together with slime, trying to do a good job. Marinus walks in and sees you working on the jar. Oop. Marinus isn't fooled. She replaces the jar on the ledge, but raises a spiny eyebrow ridge at you while cleaning off the slime. Hamrag, an adult monster, sleeps in a big pile of monsterlings. Everyone is comfortable. Blotz, giggling, sticks lichen in all 4 of Hamrag's nostrils. Hamrag's eyes shoot open as he starts to choke. Blotz shusses you with a threatening scowl. You jump on Hamrag's head and knock some of the lichen loose. He squeals and gasps, then remembers that he can breathe through his mouth. Hammerhead glowers down past his jowls, scowling as though you hadn't saved him. He roars and demands, "Who plugged up his nose?" Blotz did it. Hammerhead thanks you, grabs Blotz and sits on him. All of Blotz's breath whooshes out and he can't inhale again. Hammerhead stays there for a good long while. What's that noise? Buzz, buzz, buzz. So annoying. Jangle and Smark run from the sound, covering their ear holes. It's getting louder, louder. What was that? I can't hear you over the buzzing. What was that? Oh right, you head in that direction, wincing in pain. You see Blotz and Gobclaws fleeing from the passage where the sound's the loudest. Your head hurts worse and worse as you peek around a bend in the passage. You see a huge paper clump stuck to the ceiling. Vicious stab wasps. Venomous insects whose wings are the source of the horrible sounds. Their stings are horrendously painful. Got him! The buzzing stops and you stomp on the surviving stab wasps. You're halfway towards leaving, becoming an adolescent. Firm up your personality as much as you can. You hear clattering and then flapping. A deer tumbles in through the cave entrance with Blistery trapped in his antlers. Deer and monsterlings are traditionally curious about each other. Blistery probably flew up and perched on him. Then, things got crazy. Soothed by the tone of your voice and the gentle touch of your claws, the deer kneels long enough for you to free Blistery. The deer rushes off. Blistery thanks you, then limps off to tend to a pair of wounded wings. Smark sits quietly by himself in the furthest, darkest corner of the cave. He's slumped and deflated like a float pod missing half the gas inside. His eye brims with slimy tears. You sit down next to Smark, spread your claws, and give him a quiet hug. He sits very still, then leans into you and returns the hug. You both sit there for a while. Big old Hamrag comes to the cave with a box full of metal cans. He says it's drink or douse day. These cans are full of what the humans call soda pop. Bubbly liquid sugar? You bet. But they also like to see who can chug the most or endure the most exploding metal cans at once. You drink a can of soda pop. Refreshing. You drink another can of soda pop. Woo, those bubbles are building up in your belly. The third can of soda pop is tricky to chug, but chug you do. This one isn't sweet, but it's still full of bubbles, and so are you. Little bubbles are exploding inside of you. Gas is leaking from your hide with little squeaks and your belly is swelling. You don't have room for more soda pop. Well, isn't good? Elder Marinus leads you and some other monsterlings to a secluded grotto at the back of the cave. It's a rusty iron cage. There's something inside it. It's a collection of bones. Marinus says this is a human skeleton. If you can get it out of the cage, you may play with it. The cage rests on a ledge, several monsterlings high and only one monsterling wide. The lock rusted away long ago. A frayed rope hangs from the bars. You ask Nash Nash for a boost. She laughs and throws you up onto the ledge. You crack your head, but you're up there. You let the other monsterlings in on the fun. Nash Nash starts choking when she tries to eat some of the littlest bones. That did it. She spits out the little nodules and seems puzzled. I can crunch animal bones easy. How come human bones are so tough? Alright, last option. Gobclaws pulls you into a side tunnel. There's something under there, she says, pointing to a huge pile of bat guano. Will you help me dig it out? Wasn't that clever. Gobclaw starts digging on the left and you dig on the right. She's right, there is something solid under all this poop. The two of you uncover plenty of animal skulls, way too big for them to have been eaten by bats. Perhaps a family of badgers was sleeping here. Yes, that's probably it. Gobclaw seems disappointed that she didn't find anything more interesting, but it was still a good day's digging practice. Oh my, you wake up and find that you're no longer a little monsterling. You're growing up. Elder Marinus calls the oldest monsterlings together in a group. You're one of the oldest ones now, so you should join them. She looks grave. Marinus shuffles down the long tunnel, turning this way and that among dozens of forking passages. Marinus stops in a warm, humid chamber with a pit in the floor. She points to the pit, which seethes with thick mist. You fall, and fall some more, and fall, and you're falling, and everyone else is falling. Some of them are crying. You can't see through the mist. Or is it fog or clouds, moans and groans and whispering screams? You land on a smooth, flat stone. Despite the swirling vapor, the floor is dry as a bone. You hear other monsterlings breathing nearby. Some of them are still above you, still falling. You rejoin some of the monsterlings at the edge of the mist. There are more passages out of here than you can count. Some monsterlings begin to panic while others look determined. The other monsterlings watch you, curious. You lead the other monsterlings in a rousing song. Putting aside their trepidation, they advance into the twisting passages. Soon, you have all convened in a cave full of even thicker mist. The chamber swirls with mist, smoke, fog, vapor, except it's not any of those things. It's ghosts. Hundreds of them, large and small, they're everywhere. One by one, the pale ghosts begin to turn their attention to you. Their eyes glow different colors. The ghosts speak in many voices, all hollow and distant. All in unison, they ask you, do you fear? We'll wait and say nothing. The ghosts stare into and through you as though you're the one made of mist. The one sharp voice speaks from behind you. Why are you here? You take a deep breath and begin to explain how monsterlings make the change into adolescent monsters. Stress is like heat, cooking our minds and bodies so they can enter a new state of being. You go on. First, our growing bodies must be destabilized so we can take on our yawn, more diverse forms, and then we must yawn. I'm sorry, I forgot what I was. Okay, so clever and honest, followed by kindness, bravery, very little ferocity. You wake up inside a well-appointed hovel. This is your home now. Into the big bad world. It's adventure in town. Squeak, thud, squeak, thud, squeak, thud. You follow the odd sound until you find Gobclaws. She's dragging a dusty, broken wagon back home. Looks like hard work. The wagon's full of more wagon pieces. I might be able to put it back together. Can you help me? From her limp, you gather she has a busted leg at the moment. You flex your claws, still not fully healed from a recent fight. You could hurt yourself if you help her. It's easier to move with both of you helping. Gobclaws thanks you, and the two of you enlist the scapegoat to help even more. The goat is strong enough to give you a wagon ride once the wheels are on, and he does. Suddenly, a stinging rain pours down. Everyone scatters and gets under cover, even Blistery and Smark. While the rain pours down, you cuddle with Blistery and Smark under the bleachers. You take turns opening your mouth to the falling rain, trying to suck up all the drops. Unfortunately, you choke and spit a mouthful of water at Smark. Blistery spits water on you, Smark splashes a puddle at both of you, and you all spend the rest of the storm making your own fun in the pooling water. You find Blistery crouched in the forest, petting a rather furry spider. It doesn't look too good. In fact, it's not moving at all. You take a moment to assess the situation. There's a whole web full of equally large spiders in the alley beside Blistery's hovel. They seem tense, and you think they're staring at you. The sick spider shivers. You rush off and find the spine doctor. She smirks when you describe the problem and gives you a clay flask full of sticky fluid. 3 drops, no more. As you return, Blistery shouts, "Hurry, it's dying!" You splash the medicine on the little creature. The spider stands up on its 8 legs, coughs, and scurries away with a quick thanks. Blistery fairly beams at you in happiness. Blotz waddles over to you. "I'm all out of snacks. Got any to spare?" Blotz is tiny. In the right light, one could easily mistake him for a squirrel. His neck is especially flexible from looking over his shoulder so much. He's Nash's best friend, which means she's constantly attacking him. Blotz grins. "That's great. Thanks so much." He waddles away, munching on a bitter beetle. Outside your house, Nash charges from a nearby bush and sends you tumbling. "Challenge!" she screams at the top of her voice. "It's on!" There, Nash swings and misses. You lunge forward and knock her out. The day is yours. You look around proudly, but nobody noticed your little scuffle. Oh boy. Smark set up a human chess set. You sit down to play. You don't know the rules, but a smart monster like you should be able to figure something out. Smark points at the pieces and moves some of them around, then knocks one over with another. It must be a fighting game. Snark then thinks for a moment and, with finesse, pushes all your pieces down and taps his head. Sounds like victory. Smark picks the 16 short pieces and you get the 16 ones with different shapes. He makes one of his short guys kick over your horsey. Puff! Most of Smark's pieces fly off the board, but he's able to save one. You both enjoy the rest of the game. Blistery dumps a double armload of objects on the ground. "I found these in the woods." Nash grabs one, a piece of yellow metal, and licks it. It's pretty bad. The muddy cog you just licked tastes like rust and mold, not the delicious kind of mold either, the horrible sour kind. The other young monsters watch you leave, then one by one they follow after you. Blistery is left alone with a pile of disgusting junk. Gobclaws has found a human artifact, a black circle. She shows it to you very carefully. Look, it has grooves on it. It's really just one groove, going around and around and around from the center to the outer edge. Gobclaws has found a human. Oh, that's weird. You hold up the black circle, looking at it, tapping it with your claws and tasting it with your tongue. Gobclaws says, "I already tried that." The other monsters are impressed by your impromptu fashion show. Gobclaws thanks you as she takes back her new hat and waddles away. Adolescence is fleeting. You have grown beyond youth and have become an adult. You've been dragged from your bed by your friends and neighbors. They tell you it's time to grow up. You're taken into the woods. The neighbors throw you into the center of a great circle of monsters, all older than you. They whisper to each other, then look at you, then whisper some more. The monsters murmur and mutter, spit and snarl. They're deciding what best defines you as a monster. After a while, the muttering stops, though the murmuring goes on for some time longer. Finally, the assembled monsters come to a decision. The ring of monsters shuffles closer to you, forming a tighter circle. Elders loom over you while the smaller adults crouch low. Your surroundings grow shadowy and dark. You see concern in some of their faces, but very little respect. It is immediately clear to the crowd that you are very kind for a monster. You are sent into the goat pit to groom the scapegoat. The goat is unusually unruly and angry today. You let the scapegoat butt you with its horns until it's tired, then you use your claws like clippers. You give it a nice trim and pick off some tasty parasites. The crowd is impressed. They're impressed with your generosity. Everyone eats a parasite or two and smiles. Alright, we got a little bit of respect. Alright, well folks, we have reached adulthood, so we will go ahead and stop now. I hope you enjoyed the first stages of Monster Life and Monster Loves You. Once again, this is Saint Chad, and if you enjoyed the video, please give us a like, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next time for more Monster Loves You.